heard that today from one of my vendors. Hired this rock star guy. He see the last of the week, somebody else come and offered him double the money that he was getting. He was paying him.
Yep. Okay.
What's our conversation? But yeah, so he said, I can't hire anybody, Randy.
Right.
Nobody wants to work.
Isn't it crazy? Okay, we will call the meeting to order. Welcome to the Truth and Taxation meeting. Today's date is December 12th, 2022. Time is 6 p.m. All commissioners are present, along with the auditor treasurer and her deputy chief. I think I said that kind of right. Is that right?
Deputy, sure.
Chief, deputy, not bad. All right, please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And with that, I'm going to turn the show over to our auditor treasurer. She has the presentation for tonight in regards to the budget. So,
Thank you, Commissioner Erickson. Welcome everybody to tonight's meeting. We're here for the truth and taxation portion of it. What we will be doing is going through the 2023 county budget presentation. We will open it up at a public hearing time that the public can come up and make comments. Just so you know, new legislation this year for truth and taxation notices was that a supplemental insert or information was supposed to be provided, and that was on all of the taxing jurisdictions of the county. And so we have that posted to the website, because if we were to take every city, township, and school district and included all of their levy and budget information, your TNT tax statement probably would have been 3 inches thick. And so we compromised by putting it on the website. That was okay with the legislatures and the state law, so that's what we did. If you're interested in those rates, you can go look at those online. The purpose of this meeting tonight is to just give you, the public, an opportunity to talk with the county board, ask them questions about the county budget and levy for the upcoming payable year. We're going to talk about what the budget was, what the levy is, but please note at this time, we are not talking property values. We're not talking classifications. We do have our county assessor here. He will have his cards. You can visit with him at another time by making an appointment or calling his office. This is not the meeting to take him in sidebar or visit with him. That time was in April, when you got those blue sheets like this that he sends out. And so nothing will be discussed on any individual basis at all. We're here for one purpose only, and that is to discuss the county budget and how we arrived at the levy. That, I just want to explain how that goes, and we have it kind of broke down in steps. And I know Chris Odden, our assessor back in April, kind of explained the same way in his format. But step one of this process is, in the spring you receive, like I said, these blue sheets, and they're your evaluation notices that the assessor's office sends out. To determine this blue sheet, he first has to come up with a market value and a classification for your property. At that point in time, the county board will then adopt what their request changes would be to your property if there was any appeals. And then he certifies all that information over to my office, which is step 2. And in step 2, you're gonna see that's when you get these, and I have them attached here, these happen to be mine. It's a white sheet with blue print or blue borders. I kinda wish they'd make them a little different than the blue sheets. but that's the color that they propose to put them on. And these are derived from the finance committee sitting down and coming up with the county's budget to establish a county levy. In this sheet also, my office gathers data from school districts, townships. We get all their levies, we certify that, and that information on here as well. If you would have a situation where maybe your school district would increase, that would then be the meeting you would attend to ask them questions. And then this, from the truth in taxation, the end results of what the assessor's job does and my job in my office gets to the third step, which is then the final in the spring, in March. They have to be mailed out by March 31st, is the tax statements where you would have your two stubs on the bottom to make the payments. Now note, I'm not gonna say a color on this one because we change colors every year, so we don't get confused and confuse the taxpayers of what the tax payment year is. So this comes out then in March, and that's the end result of everything we've compiled between both offices in doing our due diligence. Moving forward, this is the part where we get into the nitty-gritty of, we work with the finance committee and we developed that consists of the chair and the vice chair, and myself, the county coordinator, and my chief deputy sits in this committee. We get together in May, right after the audit does their presentation to the full board, and then we pull out all the budgets for the year. We analyze what was the amount that they used last year, what do they really need in these departments moving forward. We find some cases where they may have ran short, may have ran over. We visit with those department heads and we justify the need and the want. Do you really need that many dollars for that line item? Could you get by with less? Or vice versa, we might have an incident where somebody goes, wow, I went over budget, but this is the reason why I did. We had unexpected cost, or maybe a roof unit went out, things we can't anticipate. So those are the things we go through with a fine-tooth comb. We have a huge budget book that we go through with each department. I mean, we get down to you had a $500 budget for a phone line, and we find out it's a phone line in your back of your office that's never being used. Well, you know what, we're gonna get rid of that phone line. It's not something that's needed. So that's how deep and intricate we get on these budgets. That's done during the May, July, kind of summer months. We're meeting, we call back department heads, we go through this. Then comes August, when we need to start prepping and getting ready for the September levy. Because September 30th, we have to certify a preliminary levy to the state of Minnesota. Which brings us then to this point in time where we're at is November, when we open this up for public hearing. The public can come in and ask questions on the county's budget and levy and what they're proposing to spend. And then in December, we finalize with the board the final budget moving forward so that we can send that on to the state, because we're required by December 30th to send that to the Department of Revenue as well. And that gets us ready for calculating taxes in the spring. Just a little history on tax capacity, and I know this is really small and that's why we have some handouts. I don't have any control over tax capacity in my office. This is where the county assessor comes through with values. And you can see from 17, it's been slowly rising. And yes, we see this large spike in 2022, and we all know, we were at that spring meeting, sales are indicating this. The assessor has no control over this either. He has to follow his guidelines, being 95 to 105% of the market. And so when you have all these places that are paying big dollars for homes, and it's a supply and demand, and that sales market shows you that made his sales go up and the values went up, and that's where tax capacity went up. So on the flip side then, when you get to the county budget, you can see in step 2, we're working at the purple amounts are the things that we are using as an other source of income to help us with our budgets, and the blue is what we're actually taxing with tax levy dollars. So the departments are doing an excellent job in this, as you can see, it's more than 50% of that line is coming from other revenue sources, such as maybe they're going out and applying for grants. Maybe their fee schedules are bringing in better revenues for the county. They're finding a revenue source to generate funds to keep the county operating. And the blue shade is what's really being taxed to the taxpayer. So I think that scale in itself here for 2023 is a good indication that all this purple is other dollars that are helping fund the county budget, that are not coming from the citizens. Components of the tax capacity that we're dealing with as a finance and as the county board, things they have to look at, just like you have to look at in your own home. You have health insurance costs that are going up, just general costs for heating, cooling, anything, you know. We have the COLA cost, which constitutes the wages and salaries of the county budget. That's a significant portion. Some items that we're being proactive now are our building maintenance. Now, instead of falling behind and maybe robbing Peter to pay Paul, oh, we had a roof unit go out. Oh, we've got a really major construction project in an older building that we have to take care of because we've had a lot of water damage. Before, we were scrapping for money to pay for these things, and now since 2014, when we developed this finance committee, we're proactively being smart with our finances and putting a little bit away, so that I'm not having to tap into the taxpayer, or tap into going out and bonding for money because we have a big project, or taking from our savings account. So some things that we're doing on our building maintenances are we utilize the ARP funds that came through. That was the federal dollars after the COVID money. And by using those dollars, we offset a big, huge roofing project that the board just voted on at the last board meeting. You know, 1.5 million that the ARPA funds will help fund, where we're not asking the taxpayers to pick up that bill. We're being smart in our funding. Some heating and cooling rooftop units. Future plans that we have for the transfer station will be built. We're plunking away a little bit at a time, so we don't have to go out and take any big debts on. Same with the public works. We've talked about that for the last several years. You know, we keep chunking a little bit away, just like you do at home. You put a little bit of savings aside for, you might want new windows in your house. Well, that's how we're kind of being proactive in this measure. And we're also finding funding to do our equipment replacement instead of having to finance everything. Which brings us to where we are now. We're running a balanced budget without relying on our savings account. I've said that numerous times already tonight. And then also this, we're decreasing our reliance on loans or bonds to do any building projects. And this again is real small, but this here one happens to be our courthouse bond, and we're gonna have that paid off in 2027. That's 4 short years away. That's absolutely fantastic. And following up, this one here is a refunding bond that was on this courthouse project, and that one as well will be done in 2026. So the county is sitting very, very well. In fact, I told the board on Tuesday that our bond credit rating report was due this year, and the company got a hold of me, and the county credit rating is going from a AA3, could possibly go to a AA1. And what that means is they are amazed on how financially fit we are sitting for our community and all of our projects we have going on, that they will go before a board now and present that. We will probably end up just going up 1 bump to a AA2. Because of economic times, they don't know if they should reach out and move us up 2 bumps. But that's a feather in their cap here at the county, that they've done a really good job managing the money. So this brings us to the county tax rate history. Now this would be the opposite of the tax capacity, where I showed you that spike that was going up on the flip screen from the sales and market values. This is where the county's trying to offset that, and we're sliding down from our rate in 2022 of 63.304, if I can even see that, to our rate being down to 51.56. I think that's a 58. So we're the opposite effect that might be going up, but we're trying to offset that by going down, hoping it'll level out. I mean, that's the third step in the process, so that's what we were working on as a full board and a finance committee. Right now, currently where it sits, this is the final picture, and this is showing that the total budget is only a 0.38% increase. We are not using any fund balances, as you can see across here, which means we are not taking anything out of savings to offset this. And we still came in at a 0.23% increase on the levy. Now, some neighboring counties, I was just at a conference, some of them are 7, some of them have been as high as 10%. We are not at that. And so I think they've done a very good job at being very frugal. At this point in time, I will open it up to the public. I do know we had some people sign up in my office. Julian, if you want to take that list and give it to Rod, he can have them come forward. Now, again, it's just your questions in regards to budget and levy, and not your own personal land values or classification.
Did you have a second list too, Denise, did you
Well,
say or
mine
not?
that we had in our office was a Brett Busman.
Yep,
Okay,
Yep.
and then I had a Stephen Rapids,
yep.
and I had a Robert Bodell.
Nope,
Okay, so I'll remove him from my list. I had a William Hempy.
nope,
Okay. I had a Robert Landers.
yep,
And Gwen Steve.
nope.
Gwen, you didn't sign in probably because you got in here late. Did you want to speak? Did you want to speak?
No,
Okay.
I just,
You're just listening? Yeah. Okay, that's fine. And then, that's all I had on my list in my office.
Okay,
so.
sounds good. All right, so first on our list is Brent Busman. If you'd like to come up and address the board.
Good evening. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Good evening.
Keep our eye on the ball. The health insurance that we pay, which line item here does that come out of? On page 11, on your budget, where is it? Total general fund, or is it the human services, or where does that come out of? For, you know, health insurance, it says health insurance and COLA costs, where does that come out on the budget?
Well, it's on, each account fund has that in their division.
So it's every one of these?
Every one of them, because, like, if you look at the Health and Human Services, that department budgets for their own salaries and health insurance within all of her employees over there. Just like the Public Works Department.
Is
So
the
they're-
health insurance thing, is that,
It's a countywide policy.
okay, so is it collective bargaining? Do they use a union to do that, or
Well,
are they in a union? So
yes,
they do the
we're in
union?
unions, yes.
Okay, so there's, my thing is on this one is that we would go to Minsure, or, you know, Minnesota Care.
Well, we have gone out to bid
Uh-huh.
every couple of years, and Chris Pilzer, our coordinator, could probably speak on it. And we do go through a brokerage to do this bidding
Bidding.
for us. Bidding is what I want to say.
Bidding, yes. We
Yes.
put it out for bids like every couple of years.
And Minnesota Care isn't the cheapest thing going?
I don't know
well,
that they've even come in, to be
No.
very honest.
Yeah, they've never
And
come.
through the brokerages that put it out there, so.
Oh,
Yeah, we've had Blue Cross Health Partners, preferred one, I think one year was one of them, but we go through a broker, they put the bid out, and whoever puts the bid in for us,
yeah.
yeah.
Because I know on most budgets, I've been doing government budgets since the 80s, and it's like we know exactly what we're paying for COLA, what we're paying for
And-
everybody.
Right.
In one, you know,
Oh, you just have it in one line?
one
item.
line, yeah.
Okay.
Well, they would be
Yeah.
broke down between COLA and
Yep.
dental and all that other stuff, but at least you could see what we're paying for each one of them.
Right.
Just a thought. Parks and Trails, we went up $5,000 on that?
Yes,
No, people-
that was the Parks and Trails
Yeah.
min allocation to us that they had bigger expenses coming up, and Randy, you're a member of that board, maybe you can speak on that, but
Just
Insurances went up.
insurance, yeah.
Yep.
Just, with inflation being what it was, people are just, you guys know that. I'm not telling you nothing you don't
Yeah.
already know, so. Human services, at 3.2 million. I know that's a reduction by almost 3%, and I know you guys are doing a good job with that, but do we need to be handing out as much as we hand out? I mean, we're one of the poorest counties around here, and I understand where some of it came from my 96.4% property tax increase, but anyway.
Can I answer that?
Sure, go ahead, you can speak on it.
I will share with you the unfunded mandates that the state require us to pay. And if we don't pay them, the state will come down on us. So we are required by the state to fund certain programs with no funding. So that is based on the taxpayers of Todd County having to pick up that bill. So I could share that with you. I do have a list of that.
Yeah, that would be good, yeah. Just like the 7, I think your assessor said there was 7 statutes that pertain to, because they don't have any control over it, how they come up with the tax for each property.
yeah.
It'd be nice to know, because I've looked, and you try to find something on that state's website, it's really hard to do.
it
Just
is,
like,
and
so-
the whole tax system, as
Yeah.
anybody knows, is one
Yeah.
large animal.
right, oh yeah, I get it. So I was planning to make an appointment with him to go talk to him to get those 7 statutes.
I would do that,
To
yeah.
do my own research, because like you
Sure.
said, we're not here to do it.
Absolutely.
But overall, I think, I think you guys are doing a good job. It's just sucks where we're at, and people are hurting, that. It's just terrible. Inflation's at 12 or 14%, whatever it is. So $5,000 for addition for trails makes, people look at that and they don't understand insurance, that doesn't compute to most people. It's like, why did it go up? So just maybe more explanation of things would go a long way. Just a thought. I'm just trying to, because people are mad. So,
Appreciate that.
yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Bob Lanners. Did you want to speak tonight, Bob?
Well, I could.
If you'd like, you can step up to the chair and,
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm from Gray Eagle Township, and our taxes are too high. I'm paying $9 a day real estate taxes. That comes out to $300 a month, and that's more than I made a couple years ago, and now I make less than that. And that's for a lot living in Todd County, the second poorest county in the state. And so, good thing I'm coming to an end. That'll be in 2025. I go underground, and then I go to hell. What more should I say?
I don't wish that on you.
What do you call it?
I say I don't wish that on you. I hope you're not that good of a predictor, but
So it's hard to pay $300 a month. That's a lot. So,
we appreciate your input. We're trying to do the best we can.
what?
I say we appreciate your input. We're trying to do the best we can.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah. No, I can't get up.
And apologize if I don't get this pronunciation right. Do I have a Julie Krause or Kraus? Krause.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm from Staples. I appreciate the work that the department heads and the commissioners have done, very, very, very much. You remembered the April meeting, when there was many, 400 some people. So thank you. I'd like a little bit more information about the slide that illustrates step 2. So it shows that there's more, there's less county dollars, but where, you said it's grants, is it going to be state funds? Are you anticipating state funds as well?
Well, this purple part is other sources, so that could be anything from state funded, it could be revenues across the county,
Okay,
permits maybe downstairs, things that are bringing dollars into the county.
okay.
So it could be
That would
grants, it could
include
be
our ARPA funds, correct?
ARPA funds, it could be any funds we're getting, federal funds.
It could-
Jackie,
For Health and Human Services side, Julie, it could really even be about third-party reimbursements.
Right,
About
right.
billing, targeted case management.
Yep.
Capturing everything we can,
Yep,
when it comes to health services.
yep, I remember those days.
contracts, things, the contracts, our lease agreements, things like that.
Yeah, I just know that the state is sitting on a nice chunk of change, that
It is.
it's our dollars, no matter what. So, and then my other question was, when I did see the supplemental, you know, I know that, you know, I looked at it and the percentage of change was pretty much zero across the board, because I'm guessing things had to come in September.
Exactly. Like the school
You-
districts, some of them did not have their data that was ready to provide because they were still doing their audit.
Yep.
So that's why we just went with the supplemental sheet to insert, and you should call your entities,
Well, I
to
was
find
looking,
out.
I was looking at, you know, I'm hoping that a year from now, this will look it'll be much more informative, that it won't be 0% change, you know, that, especially with townships, because it is, I
Well, a lot
go
of
to
the-
some township meetings, not every one
Yes.
of them, but.
But I can tell you, I've been doing this for many years. I've been doing the tax rates since I was a chief in 2006. There's a lot of townships that are still the same levy
Okay.
that they were back then.
Okay,
They don't make any changes. They
Okay.
just don't.
yep,
So, you're not gonna see that in the townships unless they have a road project.
right,
Then you'll see a drastic, or if they have an error. Cause we had one on here last year where their clerk put a wrong number in, and so now this year they're coming back down.
okay.
So, that's the
Okay.
only things you'll ever see if they have a huge project going on in
Okay,
their
so you
township.
feel like this is real numbers?
That
then?
is real numbers.
Okay.
Right from them,
Okay.
and it's
Yeah,
very
because I
factual.
didn't know.
I will say that I know my Mako group, and I sit on that board, this was something that was derived by a legislature that is no longer a representative. And they are working at either cleaning this law up, this statute, or removing it. Because
okay.
it's so complex, and until the Minnesota tax system condenses and gets smaller, which I don't know if that'll ever happen, because as Chris knows, they keep adding and adding and adding to even the classifications. But this is very, I mean, we try to do the best we can to get this data out to you, but like I said, the school districts weren't even done with their audits by the time we need to get the information to get to this statement to go out. So,
Well, that leads me to my other comment is when you meet with your associations, you know, please put some pressure on them to get some of that state surplus back to people, but back to the counties too. They're gonna listen to you as a voice, you know. I'm only one voice, but an association has a lot more clout. So, and I hope that you can do that with your groups as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And Steve Rapids.
Yeah, it's Rapids Farm. I'm sorry, I hyphenated the last name. She brought up all the questions I had. I signed up just in case I had questions, but the questions I had, she pretty much covered, so.
Okay,
I'm good.
very good. Thank you. At this time, is there anyone else that would like to speak or have questions for the board or for the county auditor treasurer or anything at this point? All right.
There isn't a time frame, so I'll go on to my next slide then. So as we wrap this up for the 2023 county budget and levy final adoption, this is where we're at. We will be coming before the board. The board has one of three options here. Option one is they can bring forth the preliminary levy that is set September 6th, which is this 0.23%. Option two would be to cut more. And if we do, I'll tell you right now, we're gonna be looking at cutting services because we are so lean that there would be nowhere else to pull from. Or option three would be to go on our cash reserve to lessen the impact on the local levy increase. And I know the board has been very opposed to using any revenue dollars in the last couple years. So with that being said, here is our contact information. As I always state every year, my platform since I ran for this office back in 2014 is to have teamwork and transparency. And I think we do an excellent job at the betterment of Todd County by working with all the department heads on this and getting through all the budgets, which does take some time. They know there's many offices we've called back 2, 3, 4 times, asking them dig a little deeper, scratch a little more. And they did an excellent job, and I want to thank all my co-workers and my department heads because they do an excellent job, as well as the board. And the ones that sit on the finance committee, they're the ones that also have to take the heat when people are calling us from the department head saying, but you want me to find more? So I thank them. There isn't a time frame that I have to keep this open, but if anybody, I did have this from Chris's snippet, and that's from Minnesota Association. It's a guide to Minnesota's property tax system. So if anybody wants copies of that, it's just kind of an interesting way of how it goes about to get to the actual, who does what, and so I do have those, I'll put them on the table. I don't think I have anything else this evening, if the board has any questions of me, or anybody else wants to.
By the board? Pretty good?
And like I said, my door is always open. You can call, you can make an appointment to visit with us, just as you can with any other department head that's listed on here. I know Chris is open to taking appointments if you have questions for his division. Jolene and any of my deputies, well, actually there's another deputy, Candace, that would sit down and go through budgets if I'm not there. They both, Jolene and Candace, work with them well enough to, if you had any questions in depth that you wanted to know about a certain line item. Our door's always open, so
Okey-doke.
that's all I have
Mr. Chair, do we have a date set when we'll, so the public knows when we'll set the final levy?
at the December 20th.
At the 20th meeting, next meeting? Okay, thank you.